welcome to a Northwell side-by-side video. I'm just getting things ready for tomorrow to put the gearbox and the clutch into the Ago. And I've got all the bell housing bolts on the floor here, and they're all different sizes. They're a starter motor. These are the small ones that go at the bottom, and these are a larger diameter, and they go through these holes here, and there's actually quite a lot of wiggle on them because this gearbox mounts on a spline there, a dowel there and a dowel there. One dowel's still in the engine, one dowel came out with the gearbox. But what I don't want to do tomorrow is pick this up and have to manhandle it into place and support all the weight. So what I'm making now, well, I'm not going to make them now, it's too late at night. I've got these long bolts, which are the same thread as the larger bell housing bolts. I'm going to chop the head off this bolt, because these are old bolts off the MR2, but they're the same thread there. So I can screw them into the engine, put a slot in them there so I can screw them in, and what it'll give me, imagine they're in the engine now, when I lift the gearbox up, it'll give me something to locate the gearbox on, so I've not now got to support the weight. And because they're quite long, and I've got plenty of wiggle room, if I use two of them, it'll give me something to put the gearbox onto, hang it, then I don't have to support that in the respect of holding it, wiggling it, and moving it around. It's actually going to sit on them bolts. Then I can locate the spline into the clutch, seat the gearbox up against the engine, get a couple of the bell housing bolts in just to snug it up. Then I can take these out, and then I can put the big bolts back in. It just makes the job a little bit easier. If you've got something, when you're picking it up, you've got something to aim for. And that's all I'm going to do. I found different sizes, so I'm actually going to make a couple of different size ones, because I've got 4 big bolts. Have I got 4 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got to work out which ones go from this side of the gearbox, and some of them go from that side through the engine into the gearbox. I've got to work out which ones I'm going to use, but I need 2 at least, just to hang it on. So if you're ever doing a gearbox on a front wheel drive car and it's a little bit awkward to lift it up and locate it, just make yourself a couple of studs, so you've got something to lift the gearbox onto. That then takes the weight off your arms and gives you a little bit more manoeuvrability and wiggle room, because you're not having to support all that weight. So I'll make these tomorrow, chop the heads off with the grinder tomorrow, slot them so I can screw them in, and then I can get them out with a big screwdriver. But I think that will work perfectly well for when I lift the gearbox up. Just thought I'd share that for you. I just thought that would be a good idea. Just makes things easy. That's what I've got to make the job easier. Because it's not a particularly heavy gearbox. It's just, gearboxes are they're not evenly weighted. They're heavier at the back than they are at the front. So it just makes the job a little bit easier, rather than when you put it in, the whole gearbox twisting as you're trying to do it. Just stops that happening. and means the gearbox is going to stay in place whilst you wiggle it. There you go, there's my little tip for the night. I'll show you them studs tomorrow when I make them, and how I'm going to use them. That's North Wales side by sides tip of the night.